Lawson. I am the Executive Vice President of the Dunn Area Chamber of Commerce, and we are so proud to be able to offer you tonight a municipal candidates panel. This is an opportunity for us as a community to come together and learn about the candidates that will be running for our city and leadership, from mayor down to our Ward 6 City Council members. At this time, before we get started, I'm going to ask Pastor Tim Inman to please come and give us an invocation.
Good evening. I promise my wife is a candidate in Ward 5. I did not pay Heather to have me pray tonight. She just asked me to. Let's pray. Father, we love this city, and that's true of everyone in this room. We long to see it thrive, flourish, and grow as a community, every citizen, every home. I pray tonight that a spirit of community and cooperation would reign in this place, that you would bless each candidate that speaks and topics that are addressed as they share their hope and vision for the future of our beloved city. Grant these women and men grace as they share, that all things under consideration will be discussed with knowledge, confidence, and wisdom, with a view to the short-term and long-term good of Dunn. In the name of Jesus I pray. Amen. Amen.
Now, when I said, is there a preacher in the room? Someone said, oh, he's right there. So thank you, Tim. We appreciate that. So again, welcome to tonight's Business Impact Municipal Candidates Panel, brought to you by the Dunn Area Chamber of Commerce and presented by our economic development sponsors, including Bernard Robinson and Company, Bleecker Automotive Group, Carly C's IGA, Carolina Fire Protection, Danny B. West PLLC CPAs, the Dunn Area Tourism Authority, First Federal Bank, Jonesburg Insurance Group, Republic Services, South River Electric Membership Corporation, and TRP Sumner PLLC, or as we like to call that, alphabet soup. This event is being recorded this evening and will be broadcast over the government cable channel and shared via multiple social media platforms later on. I would like to thank the audience for attending and ask that you please hold all applause until the end of the panel. And out of respect for all of our candidates and those viewing later, please make sure that your cell phones are silenced. Candidates, please be sure to speak directly into the microphone. We have a handheld microphone that we'll be passing down the line to ensure that everyone will be able to hear what we have to say. To get things started, we're going to begin this evening with introductions. Each candidate will have 3 minutes to introduce themselves and talk a little bit about your platform. The speaking order will start with our mayoral candidates and go through city council by ward, starting with 1 and ending with 6, and alphabetically by name. Time will be kept, and you will receive a 1-minute warning, which is a purple card, Christina? Purple card. And then you'll get a time notice, which is a red card, when your 3 minutes are up. And if you run over, we'll call time so that we can keep the timing moving and we can go to the next candidate. At the end of the introductions, each candidate will be given a question to answer, and then we'll present questions received from the audience that they signed up when they came in the door. So candidates, please keep in mind that this is a panel, not a debate. Please direct all statements and responses to either the audience or to myself, and not necessarily to the other candidates. No candidate will be allowed to address any questions to a specific candidate. And thank you all for participating in this panel. And we had 3 candidates that were not able to be here tonight due to prior obligations. So we will thank Robbie Rowland, a mayoral candidate, Billy Tart, he's the incumbent candidate for City Council Ward 4, and Shannon Hodges, who's a candidate for City Council Ward 5, for running. And unfortunately, they were not able to be here due to prior commitments. And if you place any signs outside of the building tonight, we ask that you please remove those at the end of the event. So to get started, we'll start at this end of the table with our current incumbent mayor, William P. Elmore Jr.
I would like to speak from here on the introduction. I am William Elmore. I serve as mayor of Dunn. I've been fortunate to serve this community for 4 years. I'd like to thank the Dunn Area Chamber of Commerce for hosting this event tonight. I'd like to say thanks to all the candidates that are participating in this. As most of you know, there are 3 people running in for my seat, which is mayor. Which all 3 of them were we're here because we do all share very different positions and very different visions for this city. I do want to thank Dr. McNeil for participating tonight. I've always known her as Dr. McNeil, but I found out just a few minutes ago that she was recently married to a gentleman that I've known almost all my life, I think since I was about 8 years old. And it's very nice to put that together, those two. But serving as mayor of Dunn means listening to and working for the residents of Dunn. And I've listened to the residents of Dunn, and I have worked to move this city forward. And under my leadership, we made many accomplishments. One of the first actions that we addressed and engaged in was a joint venture with Dunn Chamber of Commerce, and that was for a creation of a strategic visioning plan, and known to many people as the Imagine Dunn. Early in my administration, we identified many problems throughout the city, and we have really discovered that we have many problems with our infrastructure. We got a very old infrastructure system, but some of our pipes in the ground are over 75 years old. And we found out that for certain when the state came in and said no more new sewer services throughout the city, and stopped us from doing that. So we got busy and started looking for money, and I worked the halls of the legislative body and with members that I know up there and I've had relationships with over the years. And we were able to obtain millions of dollars of money and funding through grants to come to this city, and it's money that does not have to be repaid by the taxpayers. We right now in the city of Dunn have over $40 million worth of projects that we're working on right now currently. And of those $40 million worth of projects, we have secured $37 million in grant money that does not have to be repaid. That money will not be a burden on the citizens of Dunn to repay that. We have many other projects underway. We know we've got stormwater problems. This didn't happen overnight. We're prepared to address those. We've done a mapping of all the underground utilities, or all the underground stormwater in Dunn. We've created a comprehensive pay study for all of our employees. The first one has been done in 30 years. The last one done in this city was 1993. That's uncalled for, but we've got that completed. I'm very proud of being a founder of the I-95, I-40 Corridor Alliance, Economic Development Alliance that we put together. A friend of mine is the mayor of Johnston County, town of Four Oaks, and I have put this together. And what we're doing is trying to identify land along Interstate 95 so that we can create better jobs for this community. We're looking at jobs that will pay a higher than average salary so that we can change the lives of people in this community. And I'm pleased to say tonight that the old Magnolia School building, we're fixing to take bids on that. And that's a $10 million project that's totally paid for by the state of North Carolina and by the Hargis County participating in that. And there again, that's $10 million to create workforce development in this town. Thank you.
There we go, thank you. That's okay. We make it work. And next we have Dr. Gwendolyn McNeill-Stokes. Would you like to come to the podium also? I'll make some space for you. You're welcome.
Good evening. I am Dr. Gwendolyn McNeill-Stokes, former city councilwoman, and I want to be your mayor. If you are tired of seeing dilapidated buildings, eyesores when you drive into the city of Dunn, poor infrastructure, population decline, increased poverty, ineffectiveness of after-school program, no new businesses, no entertainment, no investment in our community as a whole, 4 years of wasteful spending with no real return on investment of taxpayers' dollars, no support to our teachers, school, or students, years of no growth, 4 years of no solution to address the issues of affordable and low-income housing. These are just some of the reasons you should vote for me. I am not new to doing business on the city council, but I do have a new yet clear vision and plan to move the city forward. Let me say congratulations to the families of the Canterbury for standing up against having their homes encroached upon, which would have led to their property value declining had they not fought back. The problem that they had in the same issues families have over in Weldon Village area, who currently face the same issues. When this administration promised it would not build low-income houses in that area, but doubled back and proposed to do so, shame on you. I am a homeowner. I believe in protecting and preserving the property value of our residents, and as a mayor, should mean what he or she say. Here's my platform. First, I have a 4 initiative I will put into place if elected as your mayor. First, RAM, revitalization of mitigation priorities. Number 2, DAS, Dunn, acknowledging teachers and students. Number 3, DACE, Dunn All-American City Events. 4, MOM, All-American Hometown. These incentives, with your support, will provide solutions to the issues of updating our waters and sewer lines, improve the city appearance by marketing our All-American brand. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Dr. Stokes. Wesley, would you like to come to the podium or would you like the microphone?
Good evening. Good evening, everyone. I'm Wes Sills, City Council Ward 1, which is the kind of northern side of Dunn. Friendly Road and that going that way outside of town. So 4 years ago when I ran for City Council, I was unopposed, and I think we did a lot in those 4 years, and this year I'm still unopposed, and I appreciate my constituents and their faith in me to continue doing the good work that we have been doing. We have spent millions and millions and millions of dollars on infrastructure that has been rotting in the ground for decades. The official policy of the city of Dunn is hope and a prayer that our infrastructure holds out so we can replace it. It's, and we inherited that, and we have had to spend taxpayer money, whether it be grants or money that we've had to pay back with loans to address these problems, or we will not grow. And that's just a sad, hard truth about it. So I'm proud of the fact that we've spent millions of dollars. We still have millions more to spend, but we are doing it strategically, and we're doing it responsibly to the taxpayers, so we've not raised your taxes. Now, we did have to raise your water bill, but we've not raised your property taxes, all right? We've paved a lot of streets. We have, we've got more work to do with stormwater in Ward 1. Ward 1 always floods. I'm not ready to announce some news, but hopefully something big will come through in a couple of weeks that I'm excited about that will help with stormwater. And not just for Ward 1, but for citywide. And, I would also, as I wrote in my press release in the Daily Record, continue to work on infrastructure, but also want to connect all 3 parks with a walking trail, with a pedestrian path. I think that's good policy. Want to continue improving curb and gutter. Dunn is not a pedestrian-friendly town, and we need to spend the money on improving our curb and gutter and sidewalks, not only for curb appeal to increase those property values, but also to just help people get around. And then also I'm proud of the zoning and redevelopment that we've done. We've certainly spent money with consultants to help us bring our zoning and development ordinances into the 21st century, because developers are operating on ordinances from the 1970s, and that's just not good for business. So we've done a lot. We certainly have a lot more to do. We're not going to rest on our laurels, because I'm a taxpayer too. I've got kids in the school system. I grew up here, moved back here. I'm proud of my town, proud of my city, proud of my friends and family, but we still got a lot of work to do. But we've done a lot, we've still got a lot more to do, and I'm looking forward to tackling those issues in the next 4 years. Thank you.
Thank you. And Ward 2, April Gaulden.
Good evening, I am April Gaulden, serving Ward 2. I'm no stranger to Dunn. I'm very active in and around the community. First of all, we are the first board to serve during a pandemic. So I can say that we survived a pandemic that is the new norm, and no other council has been through something that we have. And so I can say that we have conquered things that most maybe wouldn't know how to deal with it. Honestly, we worked well together in trying to fix issues that were at hand. Some people think that it's easier to do than others, but that's not so. I think you have to spend the money. You have to spend the money to get the things that are needed. As far as paving, those streets did not just begin to crack and have holes in it in the 4 years that we've been serving, as well as the pay study. We have complaints about the police, so you either need the police or you don't need the police. So I think that they need to be paid. And so we passed that pay study for the police department. I strongly support our Dunn Police Department, as well as our school system. Also, as well as infrastructure, we know that it's dilapidated homes, but when COVID came in, a lot of that stopped. You couldn't find any supplies for the homeowners to patch up their homes. So it's just a lot. If you want to know more about what's in the city, contact one of your council members to get a better understanding than having a misconception of things that you really don't understand. That's all I have to say.
Thank you, April. And now we have from City Council Ward 3, Raquel McNeil.
Good evening. I am Raquel McNeil, and I'm running for Dunn City Council on behalf of Ward 3. I am a native of Dunn. I was raised here. I raised my son here, and now I'm helping to raise my 11-year-old grandson, who is a 6th grader that attends Dunn Middle School. With 30 years of professional service to education as a business education teacher, I served 10 years with Harnett County and the remainder with Wake County Schools. I value God, I value family, and I value building relationships. My grandfather was the late Dr. Reverend G.D. McNeil Jr. He was the first black city councilman of Dunn in the late 60s, early 70s. He was a member of the Board of Education. He retired from Harnett County Schools as a principal and retired with 45 years of ministry as a pastor of McNeil Memorial Church, Free Will Baptist, and Lillington Star Free Will Baptist. My grandfather has always been my biggest inspiration because of his morals, values, and commitment and leadership to Harnett County. I learned from my father and my grandfather to be a servant leader through my job, business, and church affiliation. I do have an interest in our city and a passion for our community. Growing up here, I have seen some changes to Dunn, but I have also noticed a stagnation and decline, especially in my community, which is also a part of this all-American city. I believe equity and equality towards economic development and growth should be fairly and justly distributed within our city. For example, proper land usage, maintenance to streets and water drainage, affordable homes in Ward 3, dilapidated house removal or reconstruction without regentrification, street sign repair and installation, tree cutting and trimming around power lines, community crime watch, community events, and Codgins Park restoration and upkeep. We need your support to give our community a chance. This is a we thing, not a me thing. It's time for us to value our community and share our voice and efforts to transform our district. I am praying for change in the hearts and minds of our all-American city. Let's work together as a team for transformation. Thank you.
Thank you, Raquel. And also from City Council Board 3, we have Vincent Pressley. On the bottom,
Good evening. Had to take some time. But my name is Vincent Pressley. I work for Ward 3 City Council. I've I've been in Dunn all my life. I was raised here, went to school here, graduated from Triton High School. Went to Tech, graduated from there. Campbell University, graduated from there. Liberty University, graduated from there. I'm a member of the Peter Dunn Lodge 155. I'm a past master there. I'm also a worthy patron with Golden Rule 141. I've served Dunn Rec, coached basketball, football, soccer, over 20 years. So over 20 years, I've been giving back to the community. I've been serving, I'm giving back. My kids go to Dunn schools, so I definitely have an interest in the schools and what's going on. So I wrote a little something, so I'm gonna read it. I don't have my glasses, but y'all bear with me. I appreciate that. But this is what I want to say. I want y'all to know that if elected, I will invest in energy, inform the community, be a voice of vision, and address now and future concerns for Ward 3 and the city of Dunn. City government is not fully understood by all of our citizens. The best knowledge they can have is assurance that the representative is working with the premise of positivity and production forward. Some of our hardest working, most invested families may not be aware of those departments. That's one of the key reasons I'm seeking Ward 3 responsibility, awareness. Making our citizens feel included is very important. And that happens when we have knowledge of where our options are, and most importantly, understand where responsibilities lie. Education is a big concern, and we have to work closely with the Harnett County school system to ensure we support the agenda of the county. Downtown growth is important, and businesses have the same expectations and outlooks as consumers, which is fair exchange. Because of our size, we have an opportunity to take advantage of potential shoppers and visitors that pause to travel. We have a number of options, and I think motivation and inclusion from our citizens play a vital, pivotal role in what those options can be. Thank you. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Pressley. And now from Ward 5, I apologize, from City Council Ward 4, we have Herbert Smith.
Good evening. I am Herbert Smith. Some of you may know me as Herbie or Herb, and I'm running for the council seat in Ward 4. I was raised in Dunn, a place where my beautiful mother and other family members and lifelong friends of mine still reside. I decided to run for city council because I feel that change is needed. Although my career has afforded me opportunities to travel across this beautiful state of ours, as well as other states and countries, I always continue to stay up to date on issues and concerns raised by family members, friends, and citizens of Dunn alike. As previously mentioned, I'm running for the council seat in Ward 4. My platform is as such to be a vehicle for that much needed change in Ward 4. My plan, an overall enhanced quality of life for the constituents in Ward 4 and ultimately the entire city of Dunn. Now, the definition of quality of life can be summed up as, and I quote, an individual's perception of their position in life in the context of the culture and value systems in which they live in relation to their goals, expectations, standards, and concerns. With that being said, standard indicators of the aforementioned quality of life are religious beliefs, wealth, environment, physical and mental health, social belonging, recreation and leisure time, education, safety, security, and freedom. These are issues that I'm very passionate about. As you can see also, they are encompassed under that umbrella of quality of life. As a mental health professional for nearly 30 years, I have been an instrument in the quality of life for countless individuals, and I understand the importance of that. That's one of the reasons I support NC House Bill 855. It's a bipartisan bill that will go a long way in addressing issues here in Dunn, such as the homeless, those with mental health issues, and the opioid and addiction crisis here in Dunn that has resulted in numerous overdoses in not only Ward 4, but other wards as well. I believe that a maximized and enhanced quality of life, enhanced quality of life should be afforded to all. So first within your home, your ward, and your community as a whole. This can be attained by electing someone who will be a voice and bring to the table not only the aforementioned issues, but other issues and concerns such as addressing infrastructure such as streets, sidewalks, and flooding, also jobs, businesses, and sustained growth as well. I believe that I'm that guy. And if elected, I will do all within my power to help facilitate the change that is needed and address those issues and concerns, this can and will be done.
Thank you, that was great. And now from City Council Ward 5, Alan Hargis.
Hi, is it on?
You have to press the bottom, it's the,
Hello?
hold it down till it comes up till it's green.
Hello?
There you go.
There we go. Okay. All right. Well, first of all, I'd like to thank you guys for taking your time to come out and listen to us today. I also want to thank the Dunn Chamber for putting this event on so that you'd have the opportunity to see what the different views are that each candidate has for the city. Well, I'm running for the City Council Ward 5 because I love this city. I have a vested interest in seeing that the city continues to grow and prosper. We have a rich history, a vibrant and diverse culture, and a potential for an exciting and prosperous future. However, the potential will require diligent efforts from all of us, and I promise to provide compassionate and effective leadership to make that happen. It's extremely important for a leader to show that he can lead effectively. Leadership comes through experience and dealing with complex problems and opportunities that arise. Some are planned and some are not planned. I have that experience. I have been in business for over 15 years, running several businesses at one time, and I had to navigate challenges, make sound business decisions, and ensure at the end of the day that those decisions pan out and that things flow as they should. I have employed multiple dozens of people, and I can relate to the difficulties of both employees and employers. Employees with having enough to put food on their table, and business owners who struggle to ensure that paychecks are available when they're supposed to be. It's also my opinion that people who work for the government should also not be running the government. Government should never be an obstacle to citizens, but a helping hand to bring great ideas into existence. I look forward to bringing the same proven leadership to the city of Dunn. I'm committed to work to unite the community, listen to diverse perspectives, and provide solutions. I'm also committed to being a proactive, accountable, and accessible councilman who will work tirelessly for the betterment of the city of Dunn and the residents who live here. I also have experience in municipal government. I have served as an Angela Town Commissioner in the past, so I know the challenges that are faced of both the city and the residents. I also have served on several public and private boards of directors of organizations that help citizens in this city. I serve currently on the Dunn-Harnett County Tourism Board, where we work hard to bring new faces and businesses to Dunn. I'm also on the board of Friends Fighting Cancer, and there we work to help ease the burden on citizens that are brought on by the terrible disease of cancer. One last thing that I think is extremely important is that I have the time and dedication needed to get the job done effectively. I'm strongly in favor of economic development and strategic growth, and I'm not weighed down by a 9-to-5 job that ties up most of my time. This is one of the most valuable resources that a person can have, and I will use that time to go after businesses and show people all the wonderful things that this city and the residents have to offer. Therefore, after mulling all this over and listening to everyone, I ask for your consideration, your support, and your vote to elect me to the Dunn City Council Ward 5. It would be an honor and a pleasure to serve you, and together we can go farther than we ever have before.
Thank you, Mr. Hargis. And next we have City Council Ward 5 candidate Angela Inman.
Good evening. My name is Angela Inman. I'm a proud citizen of Dunn and a candidate for City Council in Ward 5. In my life, I've had the tremendous privilege to gain a wide range of experiences that I want to put to work in this role for the good of our city. Professionally, I'm a licensed clinical social worker with a resume of leadership experience in for-profit, not-for-profit, and public service agencies. I've led teams and organizations through seasons of change and growth. Personally, I'm the mother of a preschooler, the wife of a pastor, the daughter of a public school teacher, now retired, and a minister. I'm a native North Carolinian with a passion for people and our community. Dunn is a city entering a season of change and growth, and the next few years will be crucial in making sure that this growth is for the good of all of Dunn. If elected, I look forward to using my skills, experience, and perspective to help lead the community into this growth in ways that celebrate who Dunn is now and welcomes who Dunn will become. That's because, sorry, I lost my place. Actually, edited out.
And then I got turned off.
Did it die?
I'll just talk louder, because I am also a country girl. So, Tim and I moved back to North Carolina in 2018, and one of the, it says try this.
I broke it, I'm sorry. When we moved back in 2018, one of the absolute requirements we had for buying a house was that it has to be in Dunn, because we were moving here on purpose. We had a great life in Central Florida, and I had a great job that I enjoyed as a senior director at a private for-profit hospital that served mental health and substance abuse issues. But we moved back to Dunn on purpose, and we wanted to be about this city. I can bring to City Council the perspective of someone who has worked in hospital administration, who has managed budgets, managed teams, done the hiring and the firing. The invaluable perspective also of a stay-at-home mom, which I've done for the past 4 years. Knowing how vital quality childcare is, how much I appreciate preschool, and knowing that education is key to creating a community where everyone thrives, and the only way we will thrive as a city is when we thrive together. Thank you.
Thank you, Angela. And next we have for Ward 6, Dr. David Bradham.
Hello, my name is David Bradham from Ward 6. I'm a lifelong resident of Dunn and a small business owner for 25 years. I'm going to try to go fast. I have a lot to say. There's really two parts. I think a fair question for anybody, any incumbent, is to ask the question, what have you done since you've been in office? So I want to talk about that for a few minutes, and then I'm going to finish up with where we go from here. You know, I'm on the city council for one reason, and that is to make Dunn a better place to live, work, and play, and that's pretty much it. So everything I do is based on trying to fulfill that mission. There's really three parts to my platform that started in 2019 and is carrying on today. And the first one is, as the council representative to the Dunn Vision Group, some of the things that we have accomplished. Number one, as the mayor pointed out, is a comprehensive pay study, the first one in many, many years. And the purpose of that is very simple, and that is to acquire and maintain the best employees possible in this city. That's the reason for that. We don't want to get poached from other municipalities and other areas. So that's number one. Number two is the Gateway Alliance. I am a founding member along with the mayor and the vice chairman of that organization. And the purpose of that is very simple, to bring better quality jobs to this area. That's it. That's our purpose. Along with that is the renovation through the grants for the old Magnolia School to train our workers locally. I think that's very important. They can get trained right here. And the other thing I would say is that one of the first things that employers ask is, what are you doing for quality of life? They want to know that. You may not believe this, but I've had actually 3 people tell me that the dog park in Dunn is the reason they moved here. That is the reason. If you're not a dog lover, that may surprise you. But things such as the dog park, sunflower garden, downtown renovation, Stewart Theater, all those things are quality of life issues that we bring to the table here. Number 2 is public safety. Now, you know, if a crime happens to you, then it's very bad, right? It's very personal. But the truth of the matter is, and I've got the statistics to prove it, overall crime in Dunn is down significantly. That's just a fact. The reason for that is threefold. Number 1, we have a good police force. Number 2, we have a good police chief. And number 3, we have a city council that supports what they're doing. The next thing I will say is we developed a meetup spot for social media. So if you want to buy something on Facebook or whatever, there's a place where you can go and do that safely. We also have an association with the Dunn Housing Authority that has brought crime down significantly in those areas. The last thing that's been accomplished is the focus on infrastructure, finally addressing issues that have been kicked down the road for far too long. The Mayor said it a while ago, over $37 million of water and sewer grant funds, recent completion of a $2 million paving project, along with trying to maintain those roads. That's something we haven't done a good job of lately. And going forward, this is the last thing I would say. Number one, continue with the goals of the Dunn Vision Group. Number two, continue to bring high-quality paying jobs to the area. See the Magnolia Training Center develop and come to fruition. Improve workforce housing. And continue the downward trend in crime. And continue with quality of life improvements such as the Tyler to Tark pedestrian trail. Thank you.
Thank you, Dr. Bradham. And last but not least, we have with us also for Ward 6, John Frazee.
Good evening. My name is John Frazee. Thank you for coming. Thanks to the Chamber for allowing this forum. I've been a resident for 30 years of Dunn. Been married 39 years, have 3 children. A business owner for nearly 30 years here in Dunn. My wife and I started Frazee's Trophies. We're over by Heath Steakhouse. I've been on Dunn Emergency Services for 15 years as a volunteer. I've served on 2 boards in Dunn. One currently is the Beautification and Appearance Committee. I volunteered for the last 25 years in the community with different groups. In the schools, Parks and Rec, wherever I can volunteer. I'm a member of Central Baptist Church. I've considered running for council for at least 20 years. I've been encouraged by the citizens and city employees. City employees have always come to me with issues. It dates back to the Michael Eusebius days. I've worked really hard during that time and gained the trust of the city employees. But they've always came to me with issues, and I've always worked with them. I've always worked with the citizens. Still, I have citizens that will text me or email me, want me to take care of an issue. And I do it. I go talk to the city manager, whoever I need to talk to. I've been there for the citizens. I see the direction that the city's going into. The council members may tell you how great everything is. Crime is horrible.
Absolutely.
We have, I can't say the town that I was told by the police department of where these people are coming from, the homeless drug addicts that are being dropped off here in Dunn. It's something we have to address. We've got to work on that. I see that I'm down to 1 minute. Along with drugs on the streets, we have crime. Me personally, I had a car hauler and a utility trailer stolen recently. We've had a break-in at our business. I understand the police can't be everywhere, but for one, we have a community enhancement team. I think we may need to sit down and brainstorm a crime task force to work on some of this crime. Your chances of becoming a victim of property crime in Dunn is actually 1 in 14. I'm out of time.
Thank you, Mr. Frazee. Thank you for each of you for sharing your position for your roles, your upcoming roles, and your incumbencies. We look forward to hearing more from you. So now we're going to ask a question of each of you, and this will be, you'll have 90 seconds to respond to it. We'll be timing you as well. You'll get a 30-second warning and then the red time notice when your time is up. We'll call time and move on to the next candidate in question. So we're going to start with the mayoral candidates, and this is a question that came to us through some committees that the chamber is involved with. and it's as a municipal candidate, what is your perspective on the importance of preparing our local schools to provide a skilled and competitive workforce for the future? Mayor Elmore, would you like to start?
Thank you. Thank you. You know, holding or running for an office does not automatically equate into expertise in educating children, and that's an area that I do not have an expertise. I raised 3 children in the Dunn school system, in the Porter County school system, that were all students that graduated from Triton High School. Education is a crucial aspect that impacts our children's lives and the quality of life for many generations. Have a great confidence in hardworking, talented educators in our school system. I think one thing that is taking place at Dunn Middle School is the STEM program that's being offered out there, which is science, technology, engineering, and mathematics. Technology and skills being taught there to our kids is a remarkable quality of education that's going on there. You know, mayors do not direct education policy, as that responsibility falls to the Hargis County Board of Education. I assure you that our citizens remains committed to its young residents and their education.
Thank you, sir. Thank you. Dr. McNeil, how do you see the City of Dunn contributing to supporting the success of our Dunn area schools?
Many say a mayor has very little to do with our schools, but that's not completely true. A mayor can influence the city image and the desire for professionals to live and visit there. If you want to know what is important to any administration, simply follow the money. $3 million spent replacing aeration system, $375,000 proposed to repair Jupiter Creek sewer main, loans for fixer-upper jobs at the taxpayer's expense instead of upgrading. $3 million loans spent renovating Tarrant Park and another $422,000 walking trail connecting Irwin and some of Dunn parks. Taxpayers want to know what is the return on investment. I'm all in favor of having beautiful and useful parks, but I've seen the city budget, and nowhere does it list any revenue generated by Tarrant Park. Let me put this in perspective. Taxpayers have paid over $6 million in water and sewer fees, over $500,000 in storm water expenditures. So it's clear we can see the return on this investment here. Any spending not yielding a real return on investment is wasteful. This is why I am elected as mayor. My dad's plan, which is done acknowledging teachers and students. First, adopt all our schools. So they set aside money where teachers would have access to funds used for buying supplies for them. Many times teachers have to buy their own supplies. I'm an educator myself. And we have to buy supplies sometimes to help our children. That should not be. We need to do better, and we can do better.
Thank you, Dr. McNeil. Mr. Sills, Chambers received feedback about the absence of certain types of businesses in Dunn. How would you address this concern and actively work to attract businesses to our community, thereby increasing economic impact and enhancing overall activity within our city? Yep. Yeah, how would you actively work to attract businesses to our community?
All right. I need a couple things. One, we have a great school system. Proud of the teachers, proud of the faculty and staff at the schools, proud of the school board for making some hard decisions, and proud of the county commissioners for funding the schools that they do. But again, when you look at the 15 feet of federal and state regulations regarding schools, there's not one single page that says the school system has to do anything the city wants it to do. And that's just the harsh reality of life. So we will continue to partner with the elected officials of the school board. We will continue to provide proctors during testing to the schools when they ask for it. That was my brainchild. We will continue to recognize our bus drivers. That was also my brainchild. We will continue to support the STEM lab with putting business leaders in those STEM labs when asked to do so. We will always support our Dunn schools. My kids are in Dunn schools. All right? There was 8 people tonight at the Dunn Elementary PTO meeting. 8. Okay? So let's just keep some things in perspective here. Now, to the question at hand about recruiting business, we've got to do better, which is why I supported and campaigned on having an economic development team, which I'm glad the mayor agreed with me and Dr. Bradham and some other council members. And we partnered with 4 Oaks. And, you know, that is a big line in the budget. And when that group lands a big job, it's going to be a generational shift. And I'm looking forward to it. But there is municipalities all over the country recruiting businesses just like we are. So we've got to spend the money to get out there and do it. And I think we're going to see some good results here pretty soon. And that will be very beneficial to the community and the schools and everything else that we try to do here inside the city limits.
Thank you, sir. Ms. Gaulden, what strategies and specific initiatives would you envision for fostering productive collaborations between city government and various community entities, such as the Chamber of Commerce, the Tourism Board, downtown associations, and other stakeholders, to collectively enhance the overall quality of life for our residents, promote business growth, and create a welcome and vibrant environment for visitors to our city?
Well, I would say currently, as we have a great relationship between Dunn Tourism, Chamber of Commerce, and other stakeholders, to continue to build that relationship, because if we don't have that relationship and work together as one body, one band, one sound, we'll never make it. We can't do it on our own. We need Dunn Tourism, we need Dunn Chamber of Commerce in order to bring in these other entities in here. We can't do it alone. And so that's just the nature of it. I mean, it's just not something that you can just throw in an elected official's lap and think that, okay, here it is, you're gonna bring this. No, you need help in bringing these other businesses into the city. And you cannot flip a city overnight. You can't. We definitely didn't flip a city in 4 years, what most people expect. That didn't happen over numerous years. And so I just say that, you know, continue to build the relationship that we've had. The I-95 widening will bring a lot of revenue coming through here. And right now we have to go through this process of the chaos of the reconstruction of it and the rezoning of the, you know, exits, but at this time, you have to go through to get to. So that's what I have to say. And thank you for partnering with us, and we appreciate all the hard work you all do.
Thank you, Ms. Gaulden. We appreciate you. And next, Ms. McNeil, if you would like to answer the same question about strategies and specific initiatives you would envision for fostering those collaborations.
So some strategies that I have thought of would be bringing back corporations. We lost a lot of corporations. We had a lot of large companies outsourced, which hurt us economically. That really hurt, you know, our Dunn area. It would be good to see more corporations come back into this area. Also, allow franchises to come in. We have a lot of small businesses that are with owners that are from Dunn, and we need to be able to allow more small businesses to come in from all different cultures, backgrounds, and races, but also bring those franchises in to enhance Highway 421, bring marketing and advertising from off the new corridor of I-95. Also, create employability by bringing in these corporations and franchises, and start to create more community events for everyone, not just a certain scope of folk. It needs to be for the All-American city.
Yes, ma'am. Thank you very much, Ms. McNeil. And Mr. Pressley, what would you see as a specific strategy or initiative to implement to promote business growth and diversity in Dunn?
To promote business growth and diversity is done. I'm just a little background. I work for Swift Textile Urban Mills, and as you know, that was in the early. That left. I worked there 9 years, and because of what was going on, you know, the NAFTA agreement, you know, it moved over to Mexico, so we lost a big, you know, employer in Hargis County. And what they told us to do is either go to work or go to school. So I think what Dunn is doing now, moving forward with the Magnolia building, getting that building fixed up, bringing in trade jobs, I think that's going to help economic development, economic growth. Other than that, it's basically if you got a piece of land and somebody want to put something on there, then you bring them in. That's what we're looking at. So that's the answer to my question.
Thank you, Mr. Pressley. Mr. Smith, as a municipal leader, what role do you see or intend to play in ensuring that our schools are well equipped to educate and empower the next generation of talent within our community?
I'm going to be short and brief in that question that you just asked. Not that I have a strategy in place as of yet. I'm not going to sit here and make any promises because, for a quote from one of my friends, we won't know until I get there, okay? But I do recognize how important schooling is. I do recognize, you know, the need for our youth to go to school and to do those things that, you know, make them viable citizens in Dunn. So strategy-wise, I will work with the existing boards if elected. I will also work with the mayor and other council members as well. And again, you know, once I'm there, then I can know the scope of what I'm dealing with, and you know, I'll go from there. You know, that's basically it.
Thank you, sir. Mr. Hargis, what would you like to see, or how would you strategize, and what specific initiatives would you do to foster productive collaborations between the city and multiple organizations throughout?
Between the city and multiple organizations throughout, like business development, is that what you mean?
Well, collaborations between city government and the various community entities like the chamber, tourism.
Sure, all of that is extremely important. The way that you would improve any of these things that we're talking about tonight, whether it's businesses coming to town or poverty or schools, is through strategic growth and business development. I am proud to say that the Dunn Tourism Board does a tremendous job. I don't know if you've noticed or not, but there's new billboards out on I-95 that actually promote Dunn and Harnett County. And we actually probably have the best relationship with the other chambers of commerce in the county than we've ever had before. I do think it's very important to leverage our strengths from each municipality and whatever to help foster business development. I'm very, very big on that. I mean, I know that we did a study that showed that of the citizens of North Carolina, only 31% of them really have heard of Dunn. So that is a tremendous opportunity for us to go out and reach out and get those people to come to Dunn to see what it is that we have to offer. One of the things that we scored highest on was that we are vibrant. We are the most vibrant municipality in the county. And we are the most vibrant of many other towns that they surveyed. So I know I'm out of town. 90 seconds is not long enough to answer a question like that. So if you want to talk to me about it later, I'll be glad to talk to you about it. But yeah, I'm all about it.
Thank you, Mr. Hargis. Ms. Inman, so with your background in mental health, what do you see being the way to ensure that our children have what they need to succeed and to become prudent and thoughtful and thriving citizens in the Dunn area?
One of the things that impacts mental health, and it's not anything magical, it's not living in poverty. When children live in poverty, when they go to bed hungry, it's harder to focus at school. It's harder for them to learn. You know, we can pull all the statistics out that we want to, Dunn has a lot of children living in poverty. So if we're going to address the future of our community, we have to make sure that children aren't going to bed hungry in our own backyard. And that is a multifaceted answer because it's a multifaceted problem. It's not something that anyone sitting at this table can solve alone, but it is certainly something that is worth trying to solve and worth working on. Thank you so much. Dr. Bradham, what do you see as some specific strategies and initiatives that we could implement to promote business growth and diversity in Dunn?
Thank you for the question. First of all, as I mentioned earlier, as Vice Chairman of the Economic Alliance with Four Oaks, our first goal is to make sure we bring higher paying quality jobs to this area. The other thing that's important about that with the new training center that will be fixed there at Magnolia is the fact that we can train our workers locally. I think that's very, very important. So we hope to have the whole city involved in that effort. The other thing that I can say is, I mentioned earlier, is that, quality of life is a big deal. And that means employers want to know, what are you going to do to improve the quality of life for our citizens? And as mentioned earlier, some of those things we've been able to accomplish between the dog park and downtown. And I got to be honest with you, I'm a lifelong resident of Dunn. Anybody that says there's nothing going on in Dunn has not gotten out a whole lot lately, because there clearly is. That's just a fact, and the chamber can tell you that as well as tourism. So what we have to do is offer people a reason to come live here, okay? So that's what employers are seeking. And my goal is to continue to work with the Alliance and continue to work with tourism and chamber and everybody else to make Dunn a great place to live, work, and play. Thank you.
Thank you, Dr. Bradham. Mr. Frazee, how do you see some ways that the city of Dunn could contribute to supporting the success of our Dunn area schools?
The Dunn area schools?
Mm-hmm.
I would continue whatever the council has already got in place, because this has always been a question at every election time. It's what are we going to do about the schools? Public schools in Dunn are part of the Harnett County school system that's funded in property taxes and state income taxes, and the Dunn public schools tax, which is collected by Harnett County, which provides additional monies to Dunn Elementary and Dunn Middle Schools. The amount of this past year was $395,000 that went to Dunn Middle and Dunn Elementary. Other schools in our county, they don't get that extra money. Over the last 15 years, the taxpayers in Dunn has paid $3,291,509.31. That's in support of the Dunn school system. Again, if the council has already put a plan in place, I'll support it. But it doesn't matter how much money we throw at something like this. If money's not fixing it, I mean, if there's a program, I'll join it. Whatever I can do to help. Is where poverty begins. And I'll support whatever council has in place.
Thank you, Mr. Frazee. We appreciate that. We're now going to gather the questions that were submitted at the beginning of the event by our audience members, and we'll be asking those. Okay. So this one is from Chuck Turnage in Ward 5, past city council member. This is to all the candidates. How will you, as mayor or city council member, sustain and enhance the downtown entertainment district? Would anyone care to start? Sure. How will you, as mayor or city council member, sustain and enhance the downtown entertainment district?
to say that the city of Dunn is a member of the North Carolina Main Street Program, which is a very intense program that you have to qualify for to be a member of. The city of Dunn's worked very hard a number of years ago to change the infrastructure downtown Dunn. When you ride through there, you will not see any overhead wires through most of the downtown area. You see new traffic control measures that have been taken there for pedestrians as well as traffic lights. There's a lot of activity that goes on in the area, and I think that people desire entertainment. I think they desire new restaurants and places to go to have nightlife, and I think that Dunn has not had that in my lifetime, as far as I know. I've had people that have told me for many years, including my children, growing up, there was nothing to do in Dunn, and we're changing that, and I would invite any of you to come downtown Dunn and see what's going on. There's a lot of activity there, and I would totally support activities to continue there and to continue to grow there.
Thank you, sir. I think Mr. Sills has something he would like to add.
Thank you. Being one of the younger people up here, nightlife is important, and it's important for April and my generation, because we enjoy going out and doing stuff like that. And not only do we enjoy doing stuff like that, we enjoy paying the sales tax when we do stuff like that, and that part of that sales tax comes back to Dunn. So, but downtown is beautiful, and previous administrations have done a great job, and the downtown funds a lot of that themselves with a special tax that they pay, those property owners pay. But the city of Dunn does not build restaurants. The city of Dunn does not go and build a Chick-fil-A. The city of Dunn does not go and hold a Harris Teeter to gunpoint and say, build in Dunn. That is just not how business grows. So we have to put in place things that allow that organic growth to come. Now, I would love to have a historic ordinance passed where we can protect the beauty of downtown and keep those historic looking buildings looking historic, because some of them sadly are changing. And I think that changes the nature of downtown and all the hard work and money that's been spent. Stewart Theater and the leadership at Stewart Theater right now is very proactive, forward thinking on getting bands, cover bands like the Eagles and Fleetwood Mac. That was fantastic, Fleetwood Mac. Loved it. Still Alexa play Fleetwood Mac when I'm at home. But the restaurants are expensive, and we have got to incentivize somehow, with the state regulations on how we can do that. There is very limited ways we can incentivize restaurants downtown, because they are so expensive, and those existing property owners do not want to make those investments without a good, solid return on their money. I get that, but there is some opportunity here for the city to do better, and there's some opportunity for those property owners to do better downtown, to give that nightlife, restaurants, etc. So.
Thank you, Mr. Sills. I think Dr. Bradham also had some points, and we'll bring back to this direction also.
Yeah, so I just want to add to that one point that's not a minor point, and that is one of the things that needs to be pointed out is when you talk about small business in general, not just downtown, a good question to ask, and this is not a minor point, which is, what are you not doing with businesses? And one of the problems is, whether it be from the federal, state, or county level, there are all kinds of things that businesses have to do. So one of our jobs, I believe, as a city council, is not add to that burden by having additional things they have to go through. One of the things that we have tried to do, and we're trying to perfect, is streamlining our permitting process that you go through when you come to Dunn. The other thing, we recently passed a UDO, and part of that I was really big on in that meeting, which was, if you're going to have a UDO, it has to be something that's flexible, that if we see it's not working and it's adding things to what our small businesses have to do, get rid of it. So that was a very important part to me. And I'll just say this, I go back to what I said earlier, I would have never thought in a million years that we would have a place we could go eat at night and go see a movie or go see a performance. And all this goes back to a lot of cooperation between tourism, chamber, and a lot of other groups. I was bragging on Christy back there today earlier, because I can tell you, if you live in Dunn for any length of time, you know that Dunn and Irwin did not talk years ago. That's just the way it is, and that's a fact. And we're actually having collaboration between organizations, and that's just mind-blowing and wonderful. And all those things benefit all the communities, not just Dunn, but also Irwin and Coates as well. Thank you.
I believe Mr. Smith and Ms. Gaulden wanted to answer, and then we'll move on to the next question. Ms. Gaulden, you want to go first?
Yes, just to piggyback off Wes, being 45 and having a 26-year-old, moving here 21 years ago, there was nothing here, and as time goes on, you have to go with the time. Times are changing, so if you're stuck in the time, you're gonna stay there. So you must move on and move on with the time. So you either gonna go or stay home. But there needs to be something for the youth, the next generation. If you've had your time out partying or having your time out going to the club or, well, it's not even no clubs in Dunn. But just having a nightlife, if that's not your preference, stay home, but don't close it down for the youth that want to do something. And it was nothing when I came here, and it's some added things to Dunn. It may not be what you're looking for, but like I said, my daughter's 26, and you want it to be where you want to raise your kids here and go to school here like my daughter did. But at the same time, go downtown and see what's down there. Like they had the Broad Street
Block Party.
The block party. A lot of people thought that was set for a certain set of people. If you didn't go down there, then you didn't know. And it's not. And so you got to get out of a mindset of get out of your space in order to have a diverse community. Thank you.
Thank you. Ms. Gaulden, Mr. Smith.
Well, as we know, Dunn is has a very diverse population. We can't be closed-minded, number one. We need to, if you're talking about attracting and bringing businesses and entertainment to downtown, yes, I commend the committee, the council, those that have went above and beyond and bought certain things to downtown as of over the last several years. But what we need to do is work closely with these committees more. We also need to be out and talking to the constituents as to engage their interest as to what do they want. I don't know how we go about bringing businesses, but I can say in so many ways, diversity is not reflected in downtown. It's not. And it should be. And so we need to talk to every individual, because everybody wants certain things. And I realize, I think Mr. Sills just said, Dunn doesn't build Chick-fil-A's, Dunn doesn't, bring in Harris Teeters and things like that. But we need to get out and talk to the constituents more. There are things that can be done downtown. If we have to establish subcommittees or exploration committees to explore these things that are wanted and needed, then I think downtown Dunn, and overall as a city will be a more attractive place, and we can get these people in that we desire.
Thank you, sir. You got the microphone right next to you there, April.
And I just want to add, just to piggyback off of what Mr. Smith said, and it's an accountability thing. If you want to be involved in something, you have to be engaged also. You can't just sit on the sidelines and say, this should be done, that should be done. You have to come together. That's the issue within the city that is so divided. Like, you have to come together. You have to sit at the table with people you may not want to sit at the table with in order to have a forum to make it a better place. I mean, you may work with people you don't want to work with. You went to restaurants you may not want to patronize, but you went. So it has to be a common goal and a common factor of accountability. Instead of complaining, come together and come to a common goal so that we can move forward. We're not back here anymore. It's time to move forward.
Okay, one last respondent to this question, then we'll be moving on. Dr. McNeil.
We have a great access, which is our corridor, I-95. And there's nothing inviting on I-95 for those travelers to say, I want to come into the city of Dunn. There's nothing out there that would draw them into Dunn to make them want to come inside, because you can You can beautify downtown Dunn all you want to. But until you do something to draw people in, they will never see downtown Dunn from I-95.
Exactly.
So we need to do something to draw the people in. We need to, like, come together, as Mr. Smith said, and find out what do we need here. There's really nothing in Dunn. Midnight activities, if you want to go out to dinner with your husband, or you take your family out to dinner, where you going to take your family to for a nice dinner for you and your family? What movie are you going to attend? We have to go to Smithfield or Fayetteville. Let's be real about it. To go to a good movie, to just be out there and just enjoy yourself. And that's not right. These things we can have here if we'll come together, follow the money trail.
Exactly.
Thank you all. We're going to move on to another set of questions now. Let's see here. We are going to ask a question directly of Mr. Smith. This is from Sharika of Ward 4. If elected, what are your plans to help address the fentanyl problem in Dunn?
Well, being a mental health professional for nearly 30 years, I see Dunn is dying, literally. To address the fentanyl issue, as I said before in my introduction, I support that bipartisan bill, House Bill 855. That bill, with the monies in that bill, need to be spread out amongst the city of Dunn. And somebody needs to be the voice to, facilitate that vehicle to get these programs here. Dunn is considered a rural community. People have to go above and beyond and outside their means just to get the help and support that they need. When it's right here in Dunn, if we had the voices that would speak up for it. I am so tired of reading the paper or picking or riding through somewhere and they say, hey, such and such died, OD, it's pathetic. That needs to be addressed, and if elected, I will do everything within my power to make sure that everybody understands what House Bill 855 is, which I have a copy of right here if you want to know what's in it. And this will help the community of Dunn as a whole. But somebody has to be the voice for that. And so far, I have not seen a voice that is facilitating that.
Thank you, sir. Thank you. The next question. Sorry, I apologize here. I lost the sheet. All right. This is for everyone, so whoever might be interested in answering from residents in all districts. What is the percentage of citizens in your district that look different than you? So do you feel that a mix of leaders and citizens could help create or make a better planning platform to improve our city's growth and image? They're talking about diversity of council members with citizens. Would anyone like to address that? Ms. Inman?
Go ahead,
Em. So in Ward 5, there's 1,106 registered voters as of July 23rd. So that might have changed a little bit, not a whole lot. And I think 126 voted in the last election. The average voter is 51 years old in Ward 5. I did not commit to memory the gender or all the other stats or race. Certainly, I know Dunn is, 50% white and 40% black and 10%, 10's giving me numbers, 9% Hispanic Latino. So certainly that is reflected on this panel of there are not enough folks that are black that are serving on the board. I'm not black. I'm white, and I will continue to be white my whole life. It's not a thing I can do about it. I have 30 seconds. But I do bring a perspective of working with and listening to diverse voices. And like, we can't be afraid to say black and white. Like, we've got to acknowledge that there are differences in this community and not everybody is feeling heard.
Thank you very much, I appreciate that. Would someone else like to address that? Mr. Smith?
I wanted to piggyback off of what Miss, how you pronounce your last name? Inman just said as well. I do think that diversity across the city council board is needed. And again, as Ms. Gaulden said earlier, you got to be engaged. It doesn't matter to me what race you are. If this board was one race, it doesn't matter what, as long as we are all coming together for the common good of what's in the best interest of the citizens of Dunn. And that doesn't have a color, okay? Would we like to see more diversity, representation? Yes, we would, okay? But at the same time, we got to make sure that we are out talking to these folks, getting them engaged, all right? That's the only way change is gonna happen. I am so tired of hearing these race issues and things of that nature, and I'm just gonna say it, it's destroying us as a society. So we need to come together, doesn't matter what party affiliation, doesn't matter. But we need to get together and make sure that we have the best interest, what's in the best interest of the citizens of Dunn in hand.
Thank you, thank you. Is there anybody else who would like to address it? Sure.
I certainly agree, like, your race should not determine the outcomes that you receive as a citizen of Dunn. However, when we have only men or only white folks, then we miss out on the beauty and the perspective. I can promise you that I bring a different perspective as someone who's been a stay-at-home mom. I've also been a working mom. I worked as an admissions director at a hospital in Raleigh for 6 months before the commute about killed me. And I decided I was going to stay home for a while with our son. Though that perspective matters, and certainly I'm going to bring the perspective I have, but I'm also going to bring the ability and the experience of listening to different voices. And making sure everybody feels like they have their needs met at the table and that they're acknowledged, and that it is not something to be embarrassed about or I just, we have to appreciate our differences and build upon that and not just pretend we're all seeing the exact same thing.
Exactly.
Dr. Bradham had a comment to you, or did Mr. Hargis want to make? Thank you, Alan. Alan's getting tied up in.
So Ward 6 is a very diverse, across the board. It's diverse as far as political affiliation. It's also diverse racially. There's very rich, there's very poor. There's just a full gamut there. And I think our job, we're servants of the city, and our job is to make sure we take care of the needs, whatever they are, regardless of those issues. I can tell you that, things range from people not pulling the trash cans back soon enough, being upset about that, to I had an elderly person last week complaining about the fact that, we need to make sure we continue to be progressive and Dunn and add to our downtown and to our various places so that her grandkids would have an opportunity to come back and live here. So, our job, regardless of political affiliation or race or whatever, is to help whoever needs help, regardless of what those issues are. And I think that's what we all should strive to do up here, is be public servants. Thank you.
Thank you. We had an anonymous question, and they would like to ask this of whoever might have input on this, but I think this is probably more of an incumbent question. They'd like to know more about the budget and how the city decides to spend money on things such as real estate. Is there an incumbent member who'd like to answer that?
Sure, I'll take it.
So one of the questions is I would ask the person that asked the question in return is that when we need a new police station, when we need a new municipal building, when we need a new place to park vehicles, what are we going to do with that? And the answer is, land is only available for so long. That's just the way it is. And if you don't acquire that land, somebody else is going to. And so a lot of properties that have been acquired have been for the use of city services, future growth in our city, and that's why we do it. And I think the mayor, I don't put words in his mouth, but he would probably agree with that we have an obligation to make sure that we're planning. It kind of reminds me of my daughter's volleyball team. When I'm watching them play, and sometimes the ball will fall between several people, and I get very frustrated when I see that. It's like they're a step behind. I want to make sure the city of Dunn is not a step behind, so that we've got over 20 projects going on right now, over 20. And so what that means, we've got to be prepared for that. How are we going to have these services available for these areas, not to mention the future growth business-wise through the Economic Alliance? So my question is, if we don't acquire property to be able to house our various city services, what are we going to do? We're going to rent a building? I mean, you tell me. So that's what our job is to make sure we see the future and plan for the future.
Thank you, Dr. Bradham. Mayor Elmore would like to say something as well.
I would like to say that this board has been very proactive in buying property. Some of the properties we have bought around town were for the purpose of what Mr. Bradham has just said. We have a public works department that sits in a residential neighborhood right across from Joy's house almost, and there's no room for it to grow. There's not enough room for it to house the service trucks and the equipment that need to be there. And the city bought a large tract of land within the city limits, but outside of the residential area to build a new public works facility. It will not be done now, but we have a plan in place of where it will go. We've purchased an old dilapidated house directly across from City Hall. And we tore the house down. We demolished it. It was being used by vagrants and homeless people to live in. It was very dangerous and unsafe, and we bought that, and we tore that down, and we cleaned up that area of town. There are some tracts of land that adjoin some property that the city has purchased over the years that, as they've become available, we have bought that because at some point in time, the city of Dunn's going to have a new city hall. I'm not here to say that we're going to do it in the next year or so, but in the next 10 to 20 years, these needs have to be met in the city of Dunn, and that's why we have purchased property that we see that will benefit the city. We're certainly not buying property just to sit on property or keep other people from getting it. We're buying it for a use and a purpose.
Just listening to some of the incumbents, I understand that new development needs to go on in our cities, and we need to rebuild or restructure some of these buildings. But what I'm hearing every time somebody says something, it is outside of the communities that need it. These fundings are not coming into the actual community like Ward 3. There is so much work that needs to be done just in Ward 3 alone. Because you have drugs, you have shootings, you have dilapidated houses, you have poverty. I mean, we can go down the list and keep going. None of that has been addressed. Everything is being done around that ward. And I understand it's just for the whole city, I understand that. But the money needs to be allocated so that it's helping each community, especially if it's in that type of shape.
Thank you, Mrs. McNeil. All right, next question. This one has to do with the moratorium on our water and utility expansion. This is knowing the EPA put a moratorium on our utility expansions resulting from severe outdated sewer and water lines. How and why are we being told the city is serious about growing when it has failed to improve this problem? Would anyone like to respond
I'll be
to
glad to
that?
answer that problem. That's a problem that we inherited. This is a problem that's gone on for 50 to 75 years. So it's a problem that we have with our pipes. old and they're worn out. And they're leaking when it rains. It fills up with rainwater, which travels to the sewer plant. And the sewer plant cannot handle that amount of water on heavy rains. So, the city is doing all we can in the last 4 years to address this problem, and it was so bad, that the state came in and said no more new services. And they were right in doing so. And it has slowed down our growth, but we're preparing now, that our growth will be in place, that these, facilities will be fixed and repaired. And I hate to keep talking about it, but $37 million is being applied to solve that problem at no cost to you, the taxpayers.
How's that?
How is that? That's because we have obtained grants that are directly to go towards fixing and repairing that, sir.
What grant is that? Because doesn't Harnett County have to have a mitigation plan? Are you saying that Harnett County has an updated mitigation plan?
I'm not real sure what you're talking about with Harnett County, but I'm speaking of the city of Dunn and our infrastructure within the city limits of Dunn.
Can't have people come here if we ain't got any water. We don't have no.
I'm just confused as a citizen of Dunn on how can you talk about growth? I've heard you, Mr. Mayor, and 2 council members eloquently speak about growth and bringing business. I'm just confused, a little perplexed. How can that happen when you know there's a moratorium, there's on taps and sewer systems? Well, if businesses come in, houses come in, you know, they gotta have access to sewer and water. Now, I understand that you inherited some of these issues, but what I'm sick of hearing is that every administration kicking it down the road. Now, automatically, you're saying, now we have $37 million. Well, we would like to know, where's that funding coming from?
That funding came from the state of North Carolina. It's a grant from the state of North Carolina for us. And I will say that the plan that's in place, the state, as we do repairs to this work, the state is allowing us allocation for new construction. So as we meet certain goals with the state as far as repairs, and they're ongoing now, once we meet that with the state, then they allow us to add more sewer services on. And with the money, it came with an attachment that it has to be completed, this has to be completed by the year 2026, and we're on schedule for that to be completed by then. And this should solve the problem for the city of Dunn for many, many years to come.
Now, I don't mean to interject or be, to step out of place, but I am a retired federal employee, so I'm a little perplexed, and I may not be the smartest guy in here, but help me understand if the EPA, which is a federal agency, has put a moratorium on the city of Dunn, and you receive state funds. From my way of thinking and what I've taught through my years of education and working with the government, the last time I checked, the state government does not trump the federal government. So please explain, how does that work?
I don't really follow your question. The only thing I can tell you is, yes, you are correct, we are under a moratorium, and yes, we have funding in place to help fix the problem that we have with our sewer system.
I think there might be, the question is more around the entity that has placed the moratorium. Was it in fact the federal agency, the EPA, or was it a state moratorium?
It was imposed by the state of North Carolina.
I think that's where maybe some of the misunderstanding might be coming from, the difference between federal and state. Sure.
When I was on the city council in 2015, there was a study done. That's why I understand things too, because they have been kicking the can down the road for so long. And in 2015, there was a study done in 2016, and I found out that the pipes that was underground were more than 50 to 60 years old, and they were bursting in the summertime and in the wintertime. Over there where Vivian Bennett lived at, I asked the city manager, how many times have we patched up that street? How much money has been spent? He told me, New Schaefer told me how much money, the city manager told me how much money. I said, well, since we're wasting money by patching, let us do new pipes. Let us go and renovate that. Let us do it right from the beginning. Therefore, we won't have any more patching on that street where pipes are bursting. So Miles, they did that. So I was assuming after I didn't get reelected that they would continue fixing the pipes that they knew that were 60 to 70 years old.
And as a point of order, just for clarity, it wasn't the state, it was the EPA, federal, that put the moratorium.
Yes, that's what I was trying to clarify, that the question was
But the mayor said it was
improperly.
the state, it was not the state.
Correct.
The EPA. It was the EPA. I read the article twice.
And just to add some more nuggets to the moratorium, we are following every rule that they have asked us to do. It is a process. We walked into this, and so they shut us down. It's not that we came in and was looking for this. We did not want this because we need the growth to come to Dunn, but we have to follow the rules, abide by the rules, do everything that they ask us to do, submit things on time. So if you come to the council meeting, ask for the minutes, you'll have a better understanding at any point in time about the moratorium. Do we want to be up under this moratorium? Of course not. But that's just it. We're up under it. We're going through the proper channels to get it done and completed by the time frame. And as far as the pipes are bursting, like they're so old. Lakeshore, the pipes were bursting, they're fixed. We passed that to be fixed. I mean, if it's old, you're gonna have to fix it over time.
I apologize, but listen, for those incumbents or those council members that may have served one term, it may be a new issue to you. But I'm talking about the incumbents that have served 2, 3 terms. It's not a new issue to them. So, as a matter of brevity and out of respect for constituents, when you speak, if you are new to this, then please don't disrespect the residents throughout the city of Dunn. I don't care if it's wards 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Although your knowledge might be limited on what the issue is, these homeowners have been dealing with this for years. So the problem is that it's being kicked down the road. And
well, it's no disrespect to any residents because I don't just represent District 2, I represent the city of Dunn. But you have to also know the knowledge of things as well. You can't just say that, oh, this council, that's not the case. And when you tend to come at the council like it's just us, no, it's not us. But I'm not gonna debate with anybody here. So if you wanna talk about anything, I mean, it's minutes that you can get, and if you want a better understanding, you can get it from somewhere else.
All right, I think we're going to move on to the next question. This is regarding income-based housing, and when could Dunn possibly be building housing for families that is affordable, that is not based on income status? And families who make too much money are homeless due to this problem in Dunn, and what can be done? Yes, sir.
I'll get the ball rolling. First of all, thank you all for that candid conversation that you all just had. Some of the questions that were emailed to us, I kind of tailored my answers to those. And the question you just asked, that falls up under how do you alleviate the poverty level, okay? Well, again, if elected, I have a plan. First, I'm going to the citizens, the constituents. I'm not gonna wait until it's an election cycle to be seen in my ward. And I don't think anybody should, okay? You have to get out and talk to these people. You can't just show up. There's a quote that I have, and it says, the way you see them is the way you treat them, and the way you treat them is what they become. And if we continue to look at them as impoverished and offer no solutions, then that poverty rate will be even worse, okay? I will talk with and work with local organizations such as food banks, churches, shelters, etc. Then look at how we can establish programs and gain access to resources through not only local agencies, but also state and federal as well, that are going to be tailored to the needs of those living below the poverty level. This too, as I said in my opening, falls up under that quality of life. To me, I'm not gonna back down from what I've been talking about tonight. Quality of life means so much to me. It's a lot of things that I'm gonna learn when elected, but at the same time, we need to make sure that we keep the focus on the citizens of Dunn.
Right, exactly.
Thank you, Mr. Smith. Would anyone else like to address the affordable housing? Yes, Mr. Frazee.
I have a little trouble understanding.
It got turned off.
There you go. Make sure, you can hear. I'm having a little trouble understanding some of the questions, just from my hearing.
Okay.
But from, I believe it's Mr. Smith, what he referred the question to as one that we all received, that we needed to work on an answer for, and about poverty. To tell you, 2 years before we moved to Dunn, we were homeless. I probably shouldn't have brought this up, it's still But just from personal experience, I can tell you about poverty. We moved to Dunn. The day before we moved to Dunn, we were homeless. I'm sorry. But we purchased a house. We started a business in our backyard, which is Frazee's Trophies. That was almost 30 years ago. But we did it through hard work and business sense and common sense. We understand the dollar. Some people need a little push to help get out of poverty. I have pretty good experience on that, and I can help get people out of poverty. I understand. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Frazee.
Heather?
I really want to ask that question that you just posed, that you just read off, about the housing. I live in a community, it's a very nice community, but it's income-based. And we have families out there that are making too much money, okay? They have children, and the other children are teenagers, and they're working. They're making $12, $13, $14, $15 an hour. And they are going to have to move out. I'm one of those. My son's 21, he works at John Deere. I have a business. He makes more money than I do. Our income is too high for where we live. I'm gonna be homeless in a couple of days or a couple of months. There is nothing in Dunn. Zip, nothing. I have looked and looked and looked. And the places that do have housing, I wouldn't stay in those areas. I'd rather stay in my car. However, I have Smithfield, Fayetteville, Raleigh, Garner, Clayton, those areas. I have a small business. I don't want to have to drive 30 miles to get to work. I definitely want to go to Raleigh. I don't want to go to Fayetteville. I'd rather stay in my community in Dunn. Do I want to buy a home? I'm not ready to purchase a home. I've purchased a home before. It's a lot of responsibility. What are you guys going to do to make housing affordable and not income-based in Dunn? Because there's a lot of, where I live, very nice area, but many, I've been there, I'm not a floater, I like to stay positioned. And I've been there like maybe 8 or 9 years. I know several families who had to move out of Dunn because they have nowhere to go. And they have been homeless, living in a hotel because they have nowhere to go.
Now, are you speaking of like multi-unit apartment complexes?
Is an apartment.
Or townhomes or duplex type situation?
I live in Sand Hill Apartments, right by the hospital.
But you're looking for housing outside of that is similar with amenities?
What about townhouses?
Right.
Apartments?
Yes.
Duplexes? In decent neighborhoods?
Yes.
Where you're not afraid to go in and out of your house.
Yes.
You know what I mean? And where your neighbors are not, you know. So that's what I'm looking, I don't wanna leave Dunn.
Right. We don't want you to leave either.
But I'm being forced to leave Dunn. You know, I'm being forced to leave Dunn, and I have to seek legal counsel to help me stay in my apartment. So we need help. It's not just me.
Right, no, it's not.
Many. I have a hair salon.
Yeah.
I've been in this community for 30 years, small business, and my customers suffer because they have to leave Dunn. And I don't want to leave Dunn.
And I will say, to your point as well, we do hear from businesses and potential businesses that come in that say they have no place to house their workers because they are looking for a variety of housing opportunities. That would be nice. It's something that we hear often, and I know it's something that the city council has also encountered on multiple occasions. But are there some plans coming down the road that perhaps might alleviate some of those needs, where we can avoid losing great citizens who've lived here for a long time and contributed through the business world? And I'm not trying to put anybody on the spot, and I apologize, but this is something that we do here at the chamber quite often when people come in and want to start a business and can't find a place to live because, again, they're not in a position to own a home, or they don't qualify for, an income-based housing situation. Anybody would like to address that, or maybe talk about opportunities? Yes, please. Would you like the microphone? Okay.
I believe that every citizen should have access to housing. Homeownership builds generation wealth. It's the greatest asset for most families. Therefore, I believe in preserving, protecting the property value of these citizens, which I am a homeowner. My plan called MOM, my All-American Hometown, incorporate accessing and utilizing resources like the low rate loans, land use, incentives to increase personal investment in neighborhood, especially in distressed areas. This would not only increase surrounding property value, but it would also attract developers as well as new businesses by way of city incentive. Collaborating with the Chamber of Commerce in efforts to address small businesses need is vital and something my administration would welcome. Everybody deserves a home, that want a home. We need to find out all the agencies that we have a lot of agencies. We need to combine these together, find out what they do, how much you can get from them, how much, and everybody come together, the form to know, to help people, because when you go to this place and that place, I have done that to find, where did I go here? I get a little information, where can I go there? We need a one-stop shop, where you get all the information you need in one place instead of running here and there and over there, not knowing what to do and being frantic, like this young lady is frantic about, what do I do now? I'm gonna lose my home because now I'm making too much money, and too much money could be $5 over. Exactly. It could be $2 over. Exactly. Been there, done that.
And the apartment complexes, they feel sad. They are hurt to the core, but it's not. They don't own the property, so they have to do what the numbers are. Numbers are numbers.
Yeah.
And so, you know.
Anybody else have a comment or?
I have a quick comment. And again, I don't want us to get, misconstrued. I know that the council has done their due diligence on a lot of these issues that we're talking about. However, I think that more needs to be done. I think that's what I'm hearing, in some of you all's voices. More needs to be done, okay? I don't want this to turn into a blame thing, pointing the finger. I'm willing to work with anybody on this panel if elected. But I think we need to make sure that we get the message out there. And to your question, bringing the questions, we need more people like you to get involved. I look around, and I was at the city council meeting the other day, there was hardly anybody in there. Mm-hmm. And talking to some people who streamed it, it's only, 8 or 9 people on? Okay? So something's got to be done. Pardon the pun. But something has to be done, okay? So I think we need to, come together regardless of how this election turns out. And I think we all have the best interest in mind as far as what needs to happen here in Dunn.
If I can make a comment, please. all of the talk up there is good, and everybody's got wonderful ideas and different ideas and things like that, but nobody's talked about participation. You look around this room of 9,000 citizens, and you see what you have here in this room today. And why is that? Because I guarantee you 60% of the people in this town did not know this was taking place tonight. And it's because they're not informed. They need to be informed, and everybody don't go on Facebook, and everybody's not on the internet, but that don't mean they're not important, and their ideas aren't important. And we don't cater. I've been to so many meetings where I was actually told I couldn't speak, a public meeting where I couldn't speak. I've been to so many meetings where there wasn't just a handful of people there. And I said, the most important thing when you have a meeting and a few people are there, those people should become your main attraction. They should be what you're working toward, no matter what you're having the meeting for. They should be the ones you turn your interest to, because if you make them feel included, they will bring 2 or 3 people to the next meeting and keep on growing. But participation is the main thing, and this city does not work hard enough on getting all the people involved. The poor people, the ones that can't read, the ones that don't have transportation, they are just as important part of this community as anyone else is. And they are left out many, many times.
Just to piggyback off that, and thank you for that comment. Again, participation is a big deal. And therefore, as I said earlier, I'm not just going to show up in your ward when it's an election cycle. That's part of the issue right now. Sometimes citizens, servants, city servants, etc., become complacent. And I've seen that from some members on the council. And I mean that in not a disrespectful way. But I mean, there are times in our lives where we become complacent with certain things. And we're not going to get out and push for that participation. I challenge everybody in here to tell somebody, to tell somebody, to tell somebody. That's what needs to happen. We got to get out. In this city, you're right, it should be more people in here. It should be people standing outside, okay? But it takes us, this group of concerned citizens here, it makes me happy, but it definitely needs to be more work done.
Yeah. Angela, did you also have something? No, I just want to make sure that did you have something else to add? No, okay. Let's let Ms. McNeil give her comments, and then if anyone else has anything.
One of my plans, if elected down the road, and I can't say it would happen within the first year, but one of the ideas that I had was to create a program within our community called NICE, a neighborhood improvement community enhancement, where we can bring in the people in the community, teach them about what goes on in business, what goes on with the laws, what goes on within the city, and those things that need to be addressed. Keep them informed so that they know what's going on, so they'll feel more like they're invited to go to these board meetings and understand what's going on. And then also bring their concerns and just, sitting around the table as a people and being able to talk through some things and bring in more strategies to this type of table.
Thank you. Did anyone else have anything to add to any of the?
I have a question. I've been sitting here. I do not live in Dunn. Let me start with that. I live in Irving. And I have heard the questions that you all have posed to the people. And I would like to know from the people that are already on this council, not the people that are running, not the people that are hopeful in being elected. A very good example of things that are wrong in small cities have been asked here, and no one has actually given a possibility or a solution to the question this young lady asked about her house and where she's been living for 8 or 9 years and what can be done just to help her. Like you said, we're not talking about the 9,000 people who are not here. We're talking about the people that care enough to come out here and ask this question. I just want to know what possibly, and I met the mayor early. Nice to meet you. You know, I know David Bradham personally. I know there are other people up here. What would be a solution to just her problems while we're here? You know, while we're here and she's asking, what would be a solution to that problem, or how would you start to help her?
Just to answer your question, I was just in Ms. Gwen's position a 1.5 years ago.
Okay.
We gonna come together one day. But a 1.5 years ago, I was in the same position. My daughter worked, I worked. They told me I made too much money. Okay, you can have your apartment. I lived in a nice neighborhood. It was nothing that I could do. Some of these apartments are privately owned. Some are Section 8 based, not all of them are.
Understood.
I made too much money. It's nothing that I had to leave. We do need affordable housing here. I want a home. I'm not ready for a home yet. I desire to be a homeowner. My daughter desires to be a homeowner. So I understand where Ms. Boyd is coming from. I've been at poverty, so I know.
And in coming out of poverty and getting to the position that you're in, you have a solution. What would be your solution?
The solution is that we have to work together with developers to get a affordable housing apartment where it's not where somebody's at this level of making $5 more and being put out. I've been there. So I'm not knocking anything because I just was in that same position, so I know.
But
my
you
question,
had somewhere to go. You had
my
somewhere
question,
to go, though. You had somewhere to go, though.
But you didn't know where I had to go though. But thankfully, I had somewhere to go.
I'm asking, what did you do?
Is this right here.
So
When
you
I
could-
talked to housing, I went from apartment to apartment to apartment to apartment.
And it's still over
And
the
it's
amount.
in Dunn.
Yes.
Now you go outside of Dunn,
Yeah.
you can get that.
But see, it's not, I don't think it's anything we can do as far as.
I've been done, I'm 55, I've been done 95% of my life. And it's been the same thing.
But what I'm saying is, I don't know if it's.
I understand what
That's
you're
not a
saying.
question
I'm
that I
saying
can
it's
actually
been
say.
too long.
Well, Dunn
They
just
need to find a
recently had
solution. That's what he's
excess
saying.
money. They just recently had excess money.
But some things are housing
And
authority.
I
And
know,
so-
but sometimes cities finance houses themselves in apartments. I know of several in North Carolina. The cities have financed them for deserving people and working people. And
Okay,
to
Ms.
help
Boyd,
them.
I'll check that out. I'll see
You
what
can
that
do
is. 'Cause
that, but-
I don't know about all of that. All I
have
know
a
is.
lot of
I'm
extra
telling you,
funds.
I did my research. I looked at demographics, I looked at all of that. I called, I talked to people.
And again, each municipality is different. Like when I moved to, my rent fluctuated up and down, up and
Dunn
down.
has had this problem forever. When Holiday Trailer Park was over there, that tornado tore
See,
those
and
trailers
you said
up.
forever, so I
That
can't,
was
it's
a
nothing that I can
situation
say.
that cast a lot of people into the street.
Exactly.
And nothing was ever done about it.
I lived in Sand Hills also.
Sand Hills was a nice neighborhood, was first, that place like a bomb had been through it. The roads were so horrible until, hey, I moved out there because I didn't have nowhere to go, right, at that time. I went out there and I complained, and I got every citizen in that community, in those houses, I said, y'all need to start talking and complaining. The road was so horrible. It looked like bombs that just come out of the sky and just burst up the whole thing. And they remodeled those apartments. And now when it was sold, now they're putting the people out because they make too much money. Because the government is, you know, whatever, you know, how they do that.
And I
But,
think
it's the
that
same
was
thing
my
all over
question.
town.
I'm sorry.
Okay, I'm
I
sorry.
think that was my question. We have heard, and all of you have given a idea about what poverty, what we're gonna do about poverty, but we're discussing a person that makes too much money, and she has nowhere to go. So I understand that there is nothing that you can do about poverty. Somebody will always not have enough. But she has a son that works at John Deere. She is not in poverty. She makes too much money. Where does she go? If we're going to handle poverty, excuse me, once again, I don't live in Dunn. But if you're going to handle poverty, how do you handle a person that makes too much money? If you're going to be able to help her. Is what I'm saying.
Well, my son makes.
Yeah, and you and Rob and
Into the street, yeah. And I wouldn't do that.
I think this is a situation that might be better met by a separate meeting.
Okay.
And I would love to encourage you all to reach out to your current city council members and see if we can't maybe find a way to convene some sort of, I don't know how this works in the city, and I might be speaking out of place here, but perhaps there's another way where we can, address this at a separate time. But I don't want to extend this on too much longer as we're at the time limit for 8:30. I did want to just offer thanks to all of you for coming today. And no matter what the outcome of the election is, I look forward to maybe working with all of you once again. We appreciate you for all of your efforts and what you're doing for the city of Dunn. We believe in it. We feel it's an endeavor that is not taken lightly. So thank you so much for your commitment to your area, to your constituents, and to our city. And on behalf of the Dunn Area Chamber of Commerce, I would love for everyone to please come out and join us again for another event. And we look forward to seeing you all again. And we just want to remind you of a few voting things that are coming up, a few dates and places. So if you haven't registered to vote, tomorrow is technically the deadline. However, the county has extended voter registration until the 19th if you go to Lillington. September 21st, one-stop early voting begins. October 7th is when the one-stop early voting ends. And October 10th is Election Day. And if you need more information about your polling place, then your little handout that we made available for everyone, it will tell you where your polling place is depending on where you live in Dunn. So thank you again, and I hope everyone has a wonderful evening.